Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather. In this update, we're going to be talking about a huge storm system bringing another round of severe weather with up to 2 feet of snow and some flash flooding over the next 5 to 7 days. So if you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button and notification bell to get all my daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. So let's get right to it. Let's first of all take a look at the preliminary storm reports from last night. Thanks so much for everybody watching my live coverage. We were online for 6 hours tracking these storms in Oklahoma. And so far, it's before daylight here. We have up to 14 preliminary tornado reports in Oklahoma. And plus, we had some numerous hail damage. I know Norman, Oklahoma had some 3-inch hail, some baseball size hail, and numerous wind reports with some very high winds. DFW Airport had a 70-mile-per-hour wind gust, upwards to 80-mile-per-hour up in Oklahoma. These storms were really packing a punch last night. So as we take a look at the overall hazard, man, we have yet another system that's coming in, and this map is lit up with numerous winter storm watches and warnings out here into parts of Idaho and Montana, as well as Wyoming, with some very heavy snow setting up over the next couple of days, and some very high winds to the south, much of California and Nevada into Arizona, as well as portions of New Mexico. Extremely high winds of 70, 80, if upwards to almost 90 miles an hour at times. It's going to be very dangerous to try to drive in those conditions. Red flag warnings. We've got very cold air penetrating in off the west coast, and that's just going to bring yet another round that's going to set the stage for some more severe weather that's going to be coming in into the plains. But today we got to take a look at this storm system where the vorticity is moving across into Illinois. You kind of clear out and kind of reload into Kansas and much of Oklahoma and Texas. It's going to be a very nice day as this vorticity swings up to the northeast, going to bring in some more severe weather to Illinois, as well as portions of Wisconsin here. And then yet on the backside, we've got that big storm system that we're going to be taking a look at. That's going to bring all the extreme winds with these isobars really tightening up here. Some very heavy snow along with it on the northern side. And another round of severe weather that's going to set up over the plains on Tuesday. But before that, we've got some severe weather to deal with for parts of Illinois. I put the 4-panel view on here so you can kind of really get an idea of where this severe weather is going to be. This is today, Monday, October the 11th. The overall outlook from the Storm Prediction Center has a slight risk for severe weather. This is the tornado outlook. This is the hail outlook, as well as the wind outlook. So yes, we're looking at slight risk for severe weather for pretty much the entire state of Illinois coming up today, portions of Indiana and southeast of Wisconsin here into the western parts of Michigan with some strong to severe thunderstorms. You have a 5% chance of seeing a tornado or two in and around the central Illinois and northern Illinois area, as well as some large hail. You're under a marginal risk for much of Illinois as well as southeastern Wisconsin. And then the winds are going to be a major player, as this has been a pretty mainstay from these particular storms, as these powerful jet stream will come across, and that's going to be another high wind threat as you get into later on this afternoon. For the rest of the country, we're going to watch snow fly on the backside for much of the higher elevations of Utah, especially getting into Wyoming. Some heavier snow is going to be setting up in central and southern Montana here, as well as Idaho, ahead of this cold front with some very strong winds and some heavy snow going to be breaking out. But out ahead of it, we're going to have to be dealing with that severe weather as we watch Pamela really starting to take shape down here in the eastern Pacific. We're pretty much dry into the southeast as well as the northeast for today. But for tomorrow, this system really reloads. It gets really cranking out here in the plains. It drags down more of that colder air, really tightens up down to the south side with that gradient packing those very high winds. Going to bring all the severe weather back to the plains as we watch Pamela getting a little bit closer to Mexico, and it's probably going to be turned into a hurricane by then. So as we zoom into Tuesday, man, the Storm Prediction Center already has an enhanced risk for severe weather with that another round coming in for much of the plains, happening for, again, parts of Oklahoma, much of Kansas here, as well as Nebraska, going to be hit with those very high winds. And there's the tornado threat as well. So that's a pretty high as well, a 5% chance currently, but it's probably going to be upgraded to a 10%, as this has a lot of the same look as the one we saw last night for much of Oklahoma and to Kansas. And there's your hail threat too. So we're going to have to be dealing with some of those isolated, stronger hailstones from golf, from anywhere from quarter size to golf ball and possibly up to tennis ball size at times. But some very high winds. That's pretty much going to be the mainstay from these systems, with some very high winds that are moving across with that powerful jet stream and the split in the atmosphere. So definitely be on the lookout for those strong to severe thunderstorms on the day on Tuesday. But more snow will fly in the higher elevations up here, with some heavy, very heavy snow breaking out over Wyoming on Tuesday, with that cold air continuing to push further down into the southeast. There's Pamela, now going to be a hurricane, getting really close to the Cabo San Lucas area. I don't think it actually hits them, but it does hit the mountains of Mexico here, and that's probably going to eventually spread some very heavy rain into parts of Texas that will go over as well. So you can definitely see the cold front is finally going to be on the move, with that jet stream finally losing out, and the cold front's going to win as it pushes across by the time we get into that Wednesday time frame, as this vorticity lifts further to the north. But on the south side, we've got to look for Pamela getting shredded over the mountains of Mexico there, spreading all of its precipitation back into Texas and to central Texas and to North Texas. And that could set the stage, along with this cold front finally on the move, of some flash flooding rains setting up over Texas as we get into the day on a Wednesday, because there's the setup. You've got the snow on the backside trying to wring itself out on Wednesday. So we got heavy snow for 3 days in a row up here. But now that Pamela is finally on the move, it's going to hit Mexico as potentially a major hurricane, and then shred its and spread its precipitation with that cold front. So then we get they call convective banding setting up, and that heavy rain could be on the table in and around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it could produce some flash flooding. So you got, the rain last night, you got the rain coming up on Tuesday and Wednesday with some stronger storms, and then you have the flood threat that's going to be setting up over Wednesday and going into that Thursday time frame, with that cold front slowly pushing in. You can see the cold front finally starts to win and push more into the plains. And once it does that, it's going to clear the atmosphere out. But before that, we've got a lot of severe weather and very heavy rain to deal with, because on that Thursday, look, there's the backside. There's the snow still flying, but not nearly as intense. It's kind of winding down at this point, as this vorticity lives well to the north up in Canada. But on the south side, on that comma Q shape, we've got the remnants of Pamela pushing in from Texas, spreading all the heavier rains into places like Austin, places like San Antonio. Dallas-Fort Worth area could be hit under the gun with some very heavy rain setting up on Wednesday night, get into that Thursday time frame, as this would push into parts of southern Missouri as well, and back into Illinois with some light to moderate rain as well. But your wind threat with these two systems coming across between now and Thursday, we could be looking at some extremely high winds, especially down here where these systems come across into Arizona, into New Mexico, and as going back into the plains of easily 50, 60, 70 mile per hour wind gust at time, can't even roll out up to a 90, as we watch Pamela move in and hit Mexico as potentially a very strong hurricane, if not a major hurricane, as it really starts to ramp up over the next couple of days. So as we look at the rain on Friday, with that cold front finally on the move, it's finally going to spread its moisture into parts of southern Missouri, parts of Arkansas here, as well as Tennessee, going into Kentucky by then, and Indiana, spreading into the Ohio Valley with some heavier rains. It's probably not going to be severe at that point, but definitely some rains moving into your area ahead of that cold front that's going to be finally on the move. And you can see the temperatures finally went out and for much of Kansas and the plains and Texas and Oklahoma with those below average temperatures where they've been dealing with the heat for the extended period of time. You're finally going to cool off for the weekend as you're still dealing with those well above average temperature anomalies from much of the southeast into the eastern parts. This cold front is going to continue to slide, but it's going to continuing to kind of lose its luster as it goes further east. So I'm not expecting that much cooler air going to be hitting the southeast and the eastern coastline, but the rain is going to follow you within that warm sector. So now that setting up on Saturday, it's going to be setting up over places like upstate New York, getting into Vermont, New Hampshire, back into Maine, with some light to moderate rains, some heavier rains at time, probably nothing severe, but still along that cold front, it's still going to be pushing in, setting the stage for those heavier rains moving back in your area. And then Sunday just really clears out. And that cold front finally pushes all the way through it. It just clears the atmosphere for everybody. Sunday is going to be an amazing day for much of the country, a beautiful fall-like day. So definitely get out and enjoy the atmosphere and the outside activities for that day, because there's not much going on. It's going to be some beautiful weather for much of the country as we look to reload for next week with another system coming in into the northwest. But for between now and then, we've got that colder air. It's trying to push back into Monday, but again, it's going to lose its luster. And finally, the clouds and the rain's going to win out over Texas and parts of the southeast. I mean, you're below average by then, but not much, because so as we watch for the northwestern part of the U.S. that has yet another system that's going to be coming in by the time next Monday rolls around, as the atmosphere kind of like resets itself and brings more heavier rains back into the Pacific Northwest. But between now and then, we got to be dealing with, between now and next Monday, with those heavier rains, with that 1-2 punch over Texas and Oklahoma, and then the remnants of Pamela with some very heavy rain, if not flooding rains in parts of central Texas going into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Yeah, parts of Texas could be upwards to 10 inches of rain, with that convective banding really setting up with the remnants of Pamela spreading its moisture over Texas. They definitely need the rain, but you know, it's one of those things, you know, droughts end in floods and floods end in droughts in Texas. And that's what we're going to see this week, with some heavier rains going to be setting up over that area. A little bit lighter amounts as we spread into Oklahoma, into Arkansas, as well as Missouri, and then even lighter amounts as we continue moving up further along. A lot of this is going to form in the form of snow, but some much needed rains is going to fall in the Dakotas. You're pretty dry in the southeast and much of the east. A lot of this is going to be picking up by Friday and Saturday, going into later into the week. And there's your snowfall with that very heavy snow that's going to be setting up. Yeah, we could be looking upwards to 2 feet of snow in places, and get into Montana, especially into Wyoming here. That's the bullseye area that could be looking up to that 2 feet of snow, with some very heavy snow setting up over the next 3 days, probably west of the Denver area. Not sure if it actually snows officially yet in Denver. This is going to be a higher elevation event into west of Denver, especially as you go into Utah here, with sporadic, 4 to 6 inches. But yeah, you could be seeing some double-digit totals, no question, even in down to Utah. So hey, I appreciate you guys watching this morning. Do give this video a thumbs up and let YouTube you value my content. Thanks everyone for watching my live last night. I probably will go back on live again for Tuesday with that severe threat in the plains that's going to be setting up. Looks like another potential big event that's going to be unfolding for severe weather coming up on the day on Tuesday. So I appreciate you watching. Do like this video. Definitely subscribe to my channel and catch me in the next update, where I protect you before and after the storm.